Hello, gorgeous lady. Welcome back to Higher Self and I. Today, we're diving into something really juicy that has been happening within the one-to-one container, within my client work, and actually supporting my clients. And that is really understanding and knowing how you operate best as a CEO, but also, to be honest, how you operate as a human. And there is so much noise in the entrepreneur space, incredible amounts of noise. We know that. And I want you to imagine being able to filter out that noise online and actually know what strategy is best for you. Now, this doesn't actually mean the actual strategy, the black and white on the piece of paper, writing it down. This means how you deliver the strategy, how you show up for your business with the strategy, and actually not feeling overwhelmed by all of the different advice being thrown out at you, and actually knowing and understanding how to implement the strategy that you know will work into your business based on how you operate uniquely as a CEO and as a human. Now, this comes down to a few things, and it's quite ironic how often this comes up with my clients. And I think being very aware of people, how people operate, the language that they use, how client A can operate very differently to client B has such profound effects within my one-to-one mentorship because I deliver information to clients in different ways depending on this. Now, when you fully trust yourself and you trust your own path and you are not feeling like you have to do every single thing that your coach or your mentor or the course that you brought or the story slides you've downloaded or the Instagram strategy that you have to do, when you can fully build the self-trust to go, you know what? I'm the one who's going to decide this. I'm the one who's going to decide how this looks for me in my business. That's when the pennies start to drop. That's when things start to really freaking blossom with my clients. And actually, when you're in that period of knowing that something needs to change in your business, maybe you're feeling really stuck right now. A lot of my ideal clients are feeling really stagnant in their business. Maybe they're not seeing the results, but there's so much noise online. It's difficult to know what you should be doing. And actually, when you are in that constant consuming and looking and trying to learn and then overlearning to make up for the fact that you think you don't know what you don't know what you're doing, you almost take on the belief that, wow, like I'm never going to be able to run a profitable business. I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing. There's a lot of beliefs that come out of that when actually you're just trying to swim upstream of a strategy that was not made for your identity. It was not made for how you operate as a CEO, for how you operate as a human. The strategy that I use on stories, because I am this creative, bubbly, passionate, empowered type of human, is going to look very, very different to if a client comes in and they want to become across more serious, or they're actually just a little bit more serious in their life. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe they've got kids, maybe they've got a full-time job, maybe they've got something else in their life that is getting in the way of that strategy. So me forcing that strategy onto them is actually going to do them a disservice. And there is so many entrepreneurs out there who are coach hopping, who are trying 10 different strategies because not one will work, when you actually need to go within. And it's not the fact that the strategy doesn't work, it's the fact that the strategy was made by the person who is operating in a unique way. So actually, the question you need to be asking is, how can I take this strategy that you might actually really like? You might actually really love that coach. You really love that mentor, love what they're doing, love what they're teaching, but it's coming from them as a CEO, them as a human. So actually, how can I take that strategy and make it work for me? because all the mentors out there, and I am in this group, are preaching different strategies, different ways to scale, different ways to run your business. And that can feel really overwhelming. So actually looking at what is the right strategy for me is going to be where we need to start. And this is where it's so important when you work with me one-to-one. Honestly, it is so bespoke to you. Yes, I have the same frameworks in the questions that I ask and how I allow people to step into their power online. But actually, when you really look at how my clients work, a lot of them operate very, very differently. So say, for instance, one of my clients, she is very, very similar to me in the way of how she operates. So she's a responder. So she gets a lot of her best content ideas from working with clients, from kind of being in the client journey, from talking to clients, having conversations with clients. And the response is her responding to what her clients are saying. And that's what makes the best freaking content that she can stand in. Very similar to how I work. And actually, when she started to veer away from that and tried to kind of push herself into content pieces, that were way more strategic, yes, but she was trying to kind of make this content strategy that just wasn't resonating with her as a CEO, as how she wanted to run her business. And she was trying to push herself in a box that was not aligning. So when things don't align, that's when the ego shows up the most. That's when the limiting beliefs show up the most. That's when you have that moment where you go, this isn't freaking working, and it feels absolutely horrible. Like the strategy that you're trying to do feels horrible. And actually, you need to know, how do you operate? How do you want to operate in your business? How do you want to show up online? How do you want to show up for yourself? How do you want to show up for your clients? It's going to look very different from me to you, to the next person, to the next person. So you spending hours and hours and hours on social media trying to find the perfect fucking answer, the magic key, the special secret sauce, you're never going to find it, because it's going to come from you. It's going to come from what it looks like within you and how you take that strategy. A lot of the time when my clients are asking me questions around strategy, I will ask them the same question back. Now, this isn't me not giving them the strategy. This is me finding out, actually, how do you want it to look? Actually, how do you want it to feel? You know, I've got one client at the moment who has ADHD, and actually the way that she shows up to her business is going to look very different, because she knows how she operates. She knows how she wants it to look. She knows what works best for her. She knows what doesn't work very well for her. And we've come up with a strategy both on social media and in her business, with her calendar, with her clients, the way that her clients are onboarded, how she takes time off during the holidays. All of that has come from her really fucking understanding how she operates. Because again, if you try and push yourself into a box that doesn't align with you, that's when you're going to think that something's wrong. That's when you're going to believe that this isn't for you, that being a business owner isn't for me, and I am out. And I do not want that for you. So knowing what type of CEO you are, knowing how you operate in your business, how do you operate as a human, and then finding the perfect fit strategy for that to cancel out the noise. So where can you start with that? First of all, get really freaking clear on how you love to do things. So for me, everything needs to be an experience. That's the type of CEO human I am. And if you've listened to me long enough, you will know that experience is my top value. Having the experience, feeling the passion, being really passionate about what I'm talking about, getting on my TED Talk and going for it. Exactly what I'm doing in this podcast today. That's how I like operating from my business. So the moment that I feel that I am being too logistic, I'm being too tick box, I'm being too trying to fit myself into someone else's strategy that doesn't fit for me, the moment that I feel that resistance, I go, okay. Let's bring it back to what works for me. How can I create the experience on my social media today? How do I want to feel showing up for my business today? How do I want to feel writing my content today? Because that's when you get the less resistance to what it looks like. So I want you to just have a real good think. Where are you feeling friction right now in your business? Is it showing up on social media? Is it how you scale and grow? Is it making more money? Wherever that friction is, I want you to ask yourself, are you fully in alignment with how you want it to look? I've had 2 conversations with clients this week where we've actually mapped out what their dream business would be in 5 years. And actually, it wasn't aligned with the action that they were taking right now because of the shoulds. I should be doing this. And every other, the niche that they were in, every other person in this niche is doing it this way. And that's how I should be doing it, and that's how much I should be charging, and that's what it needs to look like, and that's how I should show up on social media, and that's what I need to do my podcasts on. And it was all coming from this should, from the externals of what they were watching, from the externals of how they were feeling about it. And actually, both of them, I said, okay, well, if we carried on doing that for the next 5 years, is that where you would want to be? Is that how you would be wanting to run your business? Is that how you would want it to look like? Absolutely not, their answer was. Absolutely not. So really, really understanding how you operate and how you show up is going to be freaking gold dust for you moving forwards in your business. Because the moment that you step out of the type of CEO that you are, the type of human that you are, and actually start to really become unaligned with your values, that's when you'll feel resistance. That's when you'll feel not good enough. That's when you'll feel like nothing's working. That's when you'll feel like, holy shit, give me a break. Because you're not in alignment with you. So have a look at your business. Where is that showing up right now? Where is that misalignment showing up? Are you showing up for your clients the way you want to show up for your clients? You know, one of the big things that I talk about my clients with is the fact that I took everyone to bi-weekly, and I have 1 week where I have a client on week, and I have 1 week where I have a client off week. That was a huge, huge change for me because I really honor and love the freedom that my business creates. So on my off week, I can be working on the business and having those passion projects where I'm not halfway into a project and then I've got a client call and I have to switch into something different. And I made that decision because it works for me. Now, one of the things that I have to watch when I made that decision was on my client off week, because I am a responder, how can I still be included and involved with the breakthroughs and everything? And that's why obviously everyone gets Voxer support throughout that week too. So I'm still being responsive. I'm still enjoying dropping into Voxer and having conversations with my clients. So really starting to see what that looks like for you. I remember as well, there was a time where stories went a little bit more strategic, and I've really seen that over the last probably about the last 6 months. So previous to kind of me starting my business, probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, stories was like, just fucking show up, do your thing, be funny, be silly, do 1,100 mini trainings, do as much as you can. And we've kind of shifted away from that, which made me feel like I couldn't show up like that anymore, because not a lot of people were doing mini trainings anymore. And not a lot of people were just going on and speaking about whatever they wanted to. And it was this whole industry shift. And I started to fall into the shift. I started to fall into, well, okay, then I must be way more strategic. And then it stopped me from actually showing up on my stories at all. And I was like, hang on, like this cannot happen. I need to do it the way that works for me. And hell yes, I've made a multi-6-figure business doing the stories the way I've done it since I started. So what's the fucking point in changing what ain't broken? So again, that could have been a trap that I fell into because of being and watching other people around me. But I didn't. I was like, no, like, this is how I want it to look. This is how I want it to feel. This is actually how I want to show up on stories. And I really freaking enjoy that. So I'm going to carry on doing that. And I really want you to just have a think and have a feel into where you're trying to slot yourself in to someone else's strategy that doesn't run the same as you, that doesn't operate the same as you, that doesn't operate uniquely as the same CEO that you want to operate, that doesn't operate the same human that you want to operate and the way you want to bring that in. And the more that you can do things that feel aligned to you, that feel aligned to your personality, to the way that you show up, to your values, that's when you can start to build the self-trust, because that's coming from a really fucking aligned place. That's not you trying to force yourself into a hole. That's not you trying to force yourself in a square peg in a round hole, because that's where you're getting that resistance constantly come up again and again and again. So, bit of an eye-opening podcast. You've got a couple of things that I want you to go and work on. Really try and just become aware. It's just a bit of an awareness podcast. It's just a bit of a reframe for you. But actually knowing that something needs to change in your business and feeling like you don't have to do everything that every single person is telling you, and knowing that you can create success in your own way, that's where the power comes from. Not listening to the noise, not seeing what everyone else is doing, screenshotting their stories and trying to replicate the exact same thing. Do it how do I want to do it? Yes, take inspiration and take the kind of the things that you love and the things that you don't love and create it into your own, but creating a strategy that is best for you based on how you operate, based on how you show up for yourself, based on the things that you love to do. You know, someone who is very driven and tenacious and like, let's fucking go, is going to be someone very different who's very creative and like wants to have fun and bring experiences. I'm very different to how my clients show up, and they're very different to how I show up. And it's finding a way that you can trust yourself to go, you know what? I know who I am. I know what type of CEO I am, and I know how I operate best in my business, and no one is going to tell me any fucking different. That's where I want you to operate from. So go and have a think, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.